Bantucentric is recommended for listeners over the age of 16 as it may contain foul language and/or mature subject matter. This podcast is brought to you by Gifted Sounds Network and ImagineOnly Productions.
And as always, stay woke.
And stay Bantu.
And as always, 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 stay woke.
And stay Bantu.
Welcome to Bantucinema. My name is Buck Rivers, and with me, as always, my co-host Cheyenne Finch.
We're a couple of Bantus discussing movies, music, relationships, and pretty much everything else.
That's what I'm saying, because we're just discussing movies, Bantucinema.
So you want me to stop after?
Yeah, discussing movies.
Just silence.
Fuck it, let's just keep going. Our show has never been professional, guys, but you're seeing us for the first time, and so that's really cool. Nobody really knows where it looks. I'll look at that one, because that's where I'm at. But yeah, guys, surprise. This is our first episode that's actually filmed of Bantucinema. Hopefully you guys are enjoying our filmed content. Hopefully we've released a few of these by now. But yeah, so what are we talking about?
Today we're going to be reviewing the wonderful Queen and Slim. I don't know if you thought it was wonderful.
But yes, we are, and we have guests.
We do have guests.
So why don't you guys introduce yourselves?
Okay, I'm Taryn, and that's it. I'm Taryn.
Okay. I'm Charlie. I'm a chef. I saw the movie. I cried. Cried a lot.
And now I feel like I need more.
Well, yeah. Tell us something about yourself.
I work in social media at a PR firm. I also saw the movie. I did not cry. No.
So yeah, guys. Basically, let's do first impressions. We start with Shy. What'd you think?
I was gonna start with me. Well, honestly, I thought the movie it kind of had a poetic vibe for me, especially when they talked about what they were looking for in relationships and significant others. It just had a very, almost like Beale Street. It had the same vibe for me as Beale Street did. It felt like I was reading a collection of poetry, like someone was taking me through a story through verse. So I really appreciated that, and I definitely see a lot of that in Black film these days. So I thought it definitely had a very modern feel to it, while also keeping that artistic aesthetic.
Yeah. If you had to give it out of 10, I know it's kind of hard to rank a movie like this, but
I would give it an 8, only because it didn't make me cry. I'm sorry. Had it made me cry, it would have been like a 9 or a 10.
Okay.
For some reason, I didn't cry. I don't know why.
So
I definitely felt
cry.
it.
It'd be higher if you cried.
Yeah, I love movies that make me cry. If this
Okay.
movie can make me cry, I'm guaranteed to watch it 20 more times.
Wow.
That's just how I feel.
Speaking
and
of
I
crying,
will cry every time.
So Charlie, what'd you think?
I do enjoy poetry in a movie. I loved all of the poetic language because it speaks to me as a writer. And yes, it made me cry quite a lot. So I would give it a 9 out of 10, a solid 9.
Okay.
A 9 because the story was told really well, and it was from a very realistic standpoint. Because as Black people, we all want, this beautiful story where the cop finally gets what he had coming. Because are we allowed to do spoilers?
Yeah, guys, sorry. This is full fucking spoilers, so... Plus, this movie's been out for a good little while, especially if we release this. It's gonna be at least a month and a half, so... Watch this movie. If you ain't watched it, then sorry.
It's on you.
Yeah. So the cop finally gets what he deserved because this cop had killed somebody before. And now he's shot. I just put myself in the place. I like to put myself in the place of the actors. So if a cop shot it was their first date, but if a cop shoots my girl, I can't say I wouldn't follow the same exact thing that happened. I can't say I wouldn't. So honestly, putting us in that very real situation that can and has happened probably plenty more times than we really accept it,
Yeah.
and we get a realistic ending. Like, we all wanted to see like him get away. We
Yeah.
want to see them get away, but we all, in reality, you kind of can't.
Yeah.
It's just how long you can escape for it. It's like there's no surviving it. I mean, there's no beating the system, just surviving it.
Yeah.
So that was really powerful, resonated with me. So I'll give it a solid 9.
Okay. What about you, Taryn?
I'd give it an 8. I felt kind of on the same wavelength of it being like poetry. It felt like small little movies. Every moment was like a small little movie, a small little episode. I felt kind of like uncomfortable at the end because it didn't have that happy ending, or it didn't just have an ending that made me feel like I learned a lot. It just kind of left feeling like empty for these characters. So I guess that uncomfortable feeling is something that I'm seeing in movies more, and I'm starting to become okay with, because that's the ending that we're getting now. So I think that was good in a way, because it made me keep thinking about that ending. But yeah, I don't know, I wouldn't give it a 10 out of 10.
Can I
feel like
Oh, continue, please. I'm sorry.
I was just saying, I feel like if I did cry, maybe I would give it a 10, or if I did like feel super outraged, but I kind of just felt like, oh,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
that's
They've
how
had more
it
of an
ends.
emotional response.
And I think it also just plays into the fact that it just ended so bluntly. That's kind of just like, that's my feelings just ended.
Yeah, definitely.
It's like, oh,
Like,
okay, great, bye.
I feel like it gave us something in the end. They were more like they wanted to. Well, Slim, he wanted to be immortalized.
Right.
And that's what they got. They got a legacy. They were immortalized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had their mural. Everybody had the T-shirts. I think that was the ending that we were supposed to be given.
That's true.
Because they got what they wanted in the end. They wanted to go out a legend.
And it was definitely a realistic ending. Like, things like that happen to people all the time, and all we get is their stories. All we get is their murals, their paintings, their pictures in books. We don't get like a foundation was donated in their name, and now 3 kids will not die because of it. Like,
Yeah.
we don't get that
Nope,
sort
some
of
dude
story.
in Florida just got $250,000 a house.
Yeah.
So,
black man.
but no, but
Like-
that's how it is. Because
But even that is
that's
realistic.
that's
Yeah.
the raw realness of it. Like
Yeah.
one of the first things that she said that resonated with me was like, Slim said, "All right, they might be black." She said that might not be a good thing.
Yeah.
That's not always a good thing, and that's the thing, because in our communities we're all so turned against each other sometimes, not all the time.
Yeah.
Or we're just so turned against everybody else. We're only looking out for ourselves. So this dude saw an opportunity, because they were gonna get away. He was the middleman.
Yeah.
But he decided to look out for himself and take that money.
And I feel like he was the one person in their journey that they didn't question as much. Like, they questioned like
Because he was
the
black.
mechanic
Yeah.
for so long, but for him,
He
they
was
literally
young and
questioned him when he had the gun in their face, and after that, he just walked away with him. Like, that's the one person that ended up betraying them in the end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I'd say for me, like, I don't know, solid 7 or an 8, I've seen a lot of movies this year, so that's one thing. I can't think of where it is on my, like, full ranking of everything I've watched this year for the first time. But I definitely enjoyed it, I thought it was, this is my second time seeing it, and so I was still hooked and connected, like, I liked Joker the first time, and seeing it the second time I was kind of bored. So, like, that didn't happen with this one. I was definitely in it, the second time around. I don't know. I think it's a very, like you guys said, I think it's a very realistic portrayal of some people, some black people. I think it's a very black film. And in particular, I liked it because I kind of felt like it's obviously Black Twitter will find something to hate about everything.
Oh.
But this felt harder to do that. You got dark-skinned leads. I felt that both of them had strengths and weaknesses, and neither of them were being, neither of them were being overshadowed in that respect. I felt like she was a very strong black woman, and I felt like he was a black man who had his strengths, even though he wasn't trying to show them up straightforward. So I don't feel like black women could look at it and be like, well, the whole movie was him bossing her around, and I don't think black men could be like, well, he just sat there like a bitch, and this is why society is trying to emasculate the black man. Like, I don't think you can. People have made those arguments anyway, but I kind of feel like,
I mean, there was a little bit of that in there too. Like, they were going back and forth for a minute.
Yeah.
And like when her uncle said, does she speak for both of y'all?
Yeah, but I feel like he at least...
Or he called him slow because he wouldn't defend her.
But I feel like that was just the type of person he was. He just wasn't the type of guy that's
he's
just
from a different era, too.
Yeah,
he was
exactly.
Like, he wasn't in Iraq. He was in Iraq.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude was... Yeah. He had a whole... thing. Yeah. He killed his sister by accident. Dude was really not right in the head.
Exactly. And so I just feel like, I really enjoyed that it felt like it represented some characters in a very broad way, instead of where you can look at a lot of movies and be like, the message is against or is for or they're pandering to. I don't feel like they did that at any point. One question that I had, it's good that we were able to do this with guests because we got 2 guys, 2 girls. I wanted to know, in particular, I was listening to Black Men Can't Jump in Hollywood podcast, and it was 3 of them. It's always 3 guys, but then they had 1 girl as a guest, and all 3 of them hated Queen, at least in the beginning. The opening scene, they were talking about it, they were like, she was so mean, and she shouldn't have been saying that, she shouldn't be saying this, that kind of thing. But then the girl that they had on was like, well, she was great because that's the kind of black woman I'm looking forward to seeing in a movie, and this was one of the first times. So I wanted to ask, basically, I didn't like her either the first time, but I liked her near the end. And a lot of black women didn't seem to like him, but they liked him at the end. So what did y'all think about that?
What was there not, like, what did they not like?
Just how she was very... I don't know. I talked to my mom about it too, and she's much older generation, so she hated her too. She was very mean, very rude. Was questioning, why he brought her to this diner, that he couldn't afford it. That she had a bad day, but it did feel like she was being a little obtuse toward him in that opening scene, kind of for no.
Oh, so we're talking about the opening scene. We're not talking about. Yeah. Like after they got in the car.
No, just when they met, the first impression you get of her is her being very, just, I don't know. She was questioning everything that he was doing and saying, and she was just being very kind of, I don't know. If I was sitting across from the table, he took this stuff very well. I don't think that I would have been in a bad mood now because I'm like.
I personally don't view it as a terrible thing. Like it's definitely not a black woman thing. It's a lawyer thing. She's a lawyer.
Yeah, for sure.
And she's super analytical. And to be honest, without that, like they would have got caught way earlier. Mm-hmm. So I want to believe that she was just, she's a very defensive and private person already, which she explained to him later on.
Yeah, and
so she
explains to
us.
Client just
so
got
we get to understand
that day,
her.
Yeah.
I don't think it's fair that people are actually judged because I know there are plenty of people who've gone out on dates because I know for sure if I've actually been on a date. I've actually been on a date and walked out because the girl chewed with her mouth open, paid for her food, canceled my food, and walked out. And
at least you paid for her food.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I asked you to come out with me. I'm gonna enjoy it without me. And
I'm just not
gonna be here. That was gross. Like, who raised you? I'm a grown up now. I can talk about it. But I don't think that there's anything wrong with it. I didn't dislike her, but I definitely didn't like her. I didn't like the attitude, but nobody likes anybody's attitude.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. It felt like, specifically coming from a lot of guys, it was like she had too much attitude and she was like coming at him all the time.
Nah, you're judging too early. The whole thing about a first date is getting to know the person. Just because she's a little bit more aggressive about it doesn't mean that she's not trying to get to know him.
Well,
and she's a lawyer. Like I said, that whole nitpicking and.
She did say that the reason they were out in the first place is because one of her clients died. So she was like going through some stuff ahead of time.
Right.
She was like, I've had a bad
You had a pretty fair warning. Hey, somebody died.
And I'm pissed.
And I'm going on a date with you.
Only because of that. So that's why we're here.
But that's what I mean. That was part of the criticism from a lot of guys.
I mean,
was like, why'd you why'd you want to come out with me? It was like, somebody
why
died.
Why not criticize
I
the
didn't
guy?
want to be alone. So
why do you want to go out with this seriously damaged woman today? Why do you want to go out with this woman who only went on a date with you because her client is dead?
I mean, that's real.
Maybe you're a predator. Because to me, that seems like predatory. This woman is clearly
he didn't know
emotional.
until they were sitting at the table.
I would have canceled the date.
She told him, and he could have gotten up and walked away, but he
I would have canceled the date. I'd have drove her home.
Well, yeah, he did. But what I mean is, not in the sense that it should have just been okay. I just mean that if it was me and I was out on a first date and because he was like, why'd you, we talked a little bit and then you hit me up tonight. What was going on? It's just like I didn't want to be alone. Somebody died, and he was kind of like, oh, okay. and that's what I mean. It wasn't, I don't think she did anything wrong. It's just, I would have been in that case where it's just kind of like, everything she was saying was just really, I don't give a fuck about you. And it was like, then why are we here? Like, I don't know. I try to be more respectful of people when I'm first meeting them.
In that case, you also, go ahead, sorry.
I feel like if they had a great date, they'd liked each other from the beginning, we would almost be tired of them and their relationship by the time in the middle when they needed to, finally like each other and have sex and all of that stuff. Like, we would be like, oh, we kind of watched this. Like, I liked that we had to grow with them as they grew with each other. Like, I don't think necessarily it had to start off like as aggressive from either angle, because she was aggressive to him in the beginning and then he was aggressive to her. He was like, I'm going to talk to you the way I want to talk to you.
Yes, but he only got aggressive after he had to shoot a cop and there was dire circumstances.
It wasn't just her that talked to him some kind of way. Like, he talked to her in certain parts of the movie that type of way. And
I just mean the beginning scene. We just met and she's like, you ordered scrambled eggs, why don't you send them back? And he's like, it's fine. She's she has 4 kids, it's okay. And she's looking at him like, you ain't a man.
You know what I'm also thinking? He's also like coming in as the Christian man, doing the right thing, turning the other cheek, being a good person. So
it seemed like he was just nice, and she seemed to be kind of hostile.
But if you think about it, lawyers typically are just kind of.
Well, not even just lawyers. Like, I've met women like that have that strong personality, and it kind of comes from a place of, I've dealt with a lot, I've survived it, this is who I am now, and if you don't like it, you don't need to be with me. And I've also seen those women get into relationships with men of either equal or stronger personalities, and sometimes that's what they need to level them out. It's like when I'm out in the world by myself, I have to take on everything by myself. I have to deal with it. I'm the one that has to be strong enough to do it. So when I come home, it's nice to have a person that is strong enough for the both of us. Like, I don't have to be this personality when I'm with you, because you will be that for us. So sometimes I wouldn't say I wouldn't like her because of the way that she presented herself, but she needs to find somebody that's compatible for her demeanor, because this is who she is now.
Rose to that occasion?
I think in the beginning, I can kind of see how he was going toe to toe with her. Like, I think if what happened to them hadn't happened to them and they just had a moment to kind of get to know each other, I could kind of see them being together, because
I don't know if she would have given him a chance.
I think a part of her may have been like curious enough to,
Okay.
because I think he gave enough to the table to make her think about it.
Okay.
Because I think that's really all it takes, is like to put a thought there to be like, maybe you kind of pique my interest. I'll give you a shot to see like if you're strong enough to rise to the occasion. Because when women kind of get to that place where they're like, I'm tired and I'm defensive and this is what it is, like, the man has to come to the table with, I have enough to keep your interest and to make you feel safe, to make you feel like you don't need to be this person all the time. And it may take a lot of convincing to get there, but when two people have a certain level of compatibility, they tend to make it work. They tend to figure it out, and sometimes they can't even stop it as much as they may want to.
Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, that was kind of what I expected a little bit. You know, like I said, just being in the theater, because the first time I saw it, it was a packed theater full of black people. People cheered when he shot the cop. Like, it was rowdy, not inappropriately, you know, not in the sense where it was like annoying and you weren't enjoying the movie, but just people were very vocal about what they were feeling throughout. And I could kind of feel the guys I was sitting next to were kind of like, why is she talking to him like that? You know, like, why is he smiling when she's saying this?
And that's typically the attitude that
but there's a lot of dudes.
take.
who haven't dealt with a strong woman.
True, exactly.
Or
and
refuse
like I said,
to deal with it. So they don't know what it looks like in long
Or
strides.
to be
And
honest, a
likewise.
real relationship, because a real
Yeah.
relationship is a push and pull. It's not necessarily always a conversation with the attitude.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like you're getting to a place where we're working through these problems,
Yeah.
and they had to work through those problems with conversations. If it was just, this is what we're doing, this is what we're doing now, okay, fine, like that's not a relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really liked that part, that it was like, even though, as far as she was concerned, she probably wasn't going to see him again. But even though they were put into this horrible situation, we got to see these two people grow, and these circumstances brought out the black man that she was looking for in him.
Right.
And she softened up and admitted that she didn't have all the answers from time to time. And she was trying to be the lawyer who she is and just take care of herself. Plus, she didn't have a lot of family around. You know, that was one thing me and my mother talked about, was that she was saying, like, you know, if that kind of situation happened to me, for instance, it would be difficult not calling my mom, because I call her maybe every week, but I live across the country. So if I'm on the run, I'm just on the run, you know, whereas you see your family every day. I don't know if y'all see your family all the time, but people being around, she wasn't in that case. So it was like, all right, let's go. And he's like, I just saw I just said goodbye to my father, and now I'm not coming home, you know? And she's like, who cares, you know? So it was cool to see that it was like those differences in the things that mattered to them, but by the end, they were able to kind of come together. She started, if not believing in God, at least not rolling her eyes, because he was praying over his meal at the beginning. That's like the first shot, is him starting to pray, and she's rolling her eyes. You know, it was like she came around to see his faith, and they both were able to kind of come together and understand each other better, you know. Yeah. So I felt that showed some very realistic growth, you know. Like I said, I think it would be very hard to honestly give this movie a fair shot and then be like, see, there was some agenda, you know, like he didn't walk all over this black woman. Actually, and he wasn't bowing down to this black, like, you know. I
have a friend who literally walked out of the movie theater.
Oh, really?
Yeah, why? She's a very pro-black, bisexual, older, not older, she's older than me, she's like 29, 30, she just turned 30. Oh. And she's like, she felt like there was an agenda, like trying to demonize black people.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you know, making them seem like they were still like these villains. Like when there's clear dash cam footage of him shooting her and then getting shot, like there's clearly retribution there, but the police won't accept that, you know?
Yeah.
That's their brother. It's like, I mean, if my brother shot you and you shot him,
wait,
I actually don't care if he's wrong.
Wait, oh, you mean
like, I don't care if he's wrong. I don't care.
Okay,
I don't care if he shot you. I don't care that he shot you first. You shot my brother and he's dead. So that's what the police are doing. But like, she didn't see it like that.
I don't think that's the. I get.
Yeah, what she was saying,
she
like, you know, there's an agenda. She's walked right out after. She made 45 minutes into the movie.
I don't know. I get it.
But I think she should have stuck around.
Yeah, because I think that it's like there's a difference between. Kind of like what people were saying about Joker, where it's like, you know, he killed these people, and so this movie is pro killing people. It's like stuff happens in a movie. It doesn't mean the movie is okay with
things
that
build
stuff.
up.
Yeah, the cops wouldn't.
Not gonna lie, I was pretty pissed when the cop was like, you know, pulled his gun out on him and told him to get on the floor. Like, yo, bro, it's just cold. I asked you to hurry up.
Yeah, that shit happens all the time.
You're literally searching my trunk for something that's not there. Like, I have sneakers in my trunk.
Yeah.
Maybe I just bought a lot of shoes. Maybe I got my tax return. Like, relax, bro. But that cop was already an asshole. So.
He didn't even run his registration.
He didn't. He just started fucking with him. So.
Plus, when you like don't put on a turn signal, searching your trunk is not the next step
Exactly.
in that process.
But he still just said yes because, you know, we're taught to comply with the police so that we can have an easier day. Like, it's annoying, it's time consuming, but, you know.
I mean, one thing that did frustrate me was her role in like honking the horn and things like
agitating
that.
the cop.
She was agitating the situation. Yeah. She was making it worse because she was frustrated. And it's like, I get how she was feeling, because in a perfect world, you don't need to be searching my trunk. You don't need to do all of this. I have the right to record the situation. I have the right to do all these things. I have the right to know why you pulled me over. Right. These are my rights. In a perfect world, these are your rights. And that's why she was agitated. Yeah. But we don't live in a perfect world.
No.
We live in a world where you honking the horn and you talking mess to the cop can get you killed.
Yeah.
And it was also like following what you said before, like she was playing into the role that she is outside. Like she was asserting herself.
Yeah.
I'm a lawyer, I know my rights, you can't do this
Right.
thing. Like that's who she was trying to be to stop the situation, and it wasn't enough.
And I can't even like fault her 100% because she was defending him.
Right.
Like, she was defending like another black person.
I
Like
wanna-
she might not have liked him yet,
But, it
but she
wasn't worth
definitely saw something wrong and decided to defend him.
What do you this is a touchy subject, but this is something that I've been thinking about because I don't know, in a case of the way that the world is versus the way that you think, you know, are very different. And while I am not a man that's like I'm in charge, you know, that's not the kind of guy that I am. If I was in that situation, again, feeding into the way that a lot of black men were talking about her, it felt like she got him into this.
No.
And if she had just sat there and let him do what he was doing, maybe things would have been better. I don't know. But when she started honking and when she was, when the window rolled down, she was already leaning out talking to the cop. And I've been in a past relationship with a white person, and we saw Get Out, and I was like, that just happened? You don't ever do that. Like, I told her that during the screening. I was like, just the thing that she did, even though it went okay, I'm like, you're white, and you're gonna think that this is how it goes. It's not. This is a movie. You don't intimidate the cop, and he just goes ahead, oh, I'm sorry, and leaves it alone. You will not control this situation. He's gonna shoot me. He'll shoot at you and the bullet will hit me. Like, whatever happens, I'm in more danger here. And it's not that I would ever be like that to somebody that I cared about, but at the same time, if the gun's pointed at me, I kind of just need you to not be saying anything. And I don't want to be that kind of man that's like, this is all about me. But at the same time, even though as a woman, as a black woman, you are still considered to be a threat, I kind of feel like he's more afraid of me. He's gonna abuse you, but I think he's more afraid of me. So it kind of feels like I'm in more danger here.
So when you're in fear, he's gonna neutralize the situation.
Yeah, but you're a strong woman. That's true. But you don't have to control this because I'm the one who's gonna get shot. That's kind of how it feels.
Would you feel the same if there was a girl in the driver's seat and she was the one getting the gun pointed at her and all of that aggression, and it was you who had to sit there? Would you feel the same way?
At the same time, not really. Because if it was my girl, I'd be like, nah, why are you pointing the gun? So I get it. But that's what I mean, a difference between who we are, that I feel that we are on equal footing, versus this white cop. There are plenty of times where she's driving the car and he's still leaning in looking at the black guy in the passenger seat. Because I was pulled over. Weird. It was a different trip, but with same white people. 3 white people in the car, and they were looking. We were in Wisconsin. 3 white people in the car. 2 white people up front. I'm in the back with a white person, and they were asking me for my identification.
Yeah, it's happened with me too. Like just with women in general, actually. Because I had an ex, and she was driving my car, and the guy totally bypassed her. The cop totally bypassed her. He looks at me like, "Yo, y'all driving." We just had our lights off, and they were behind us, but the lights weren't on. We had no idea. For like 3 blocks, we're driving with our lights off, just looking for parking.
Yeah.
And he's like, yo, we honked at y'all. Like, you're a cop honking at us. Like, there's no whoop whoop, nothing. Like, we had no idea. But he only spoke to me. He didn't say a word to her. And I mean, there's a little bit of a disrespect there. I don't appreciate it. But I feel like he wasn't in control of the situation in his own car.
True. That's true.
And that's something that, I literally tell my friends when they get in my car, I don't care what happens on the road. If we don't get hit, I'm fine. Don't yell out my car window. I don't want the extra attention. Period.
Yeah.
We're not going to make a bunch of noise. If y'all guys are like dancing and singing and stuff in the car, that's fine. That's well and good. We're having a good time. Do not bring outside attention to my vehicle, because if it attracts a cop or somebody with a gun, I'm the driver. Everybody's attention is on me.
Yeah.
So if you're in my car, and this is why I feel like he should have had that type of control over, not her, but over his space, which is his car. It's like, listen, I got this. Don't say nothing. And she was supposed to just sit there and be like,
would she have listened?
All right. She probably wouldn't have. But if he said something, it might have done something.
You know,
it would have been in her mind that he didn't need to be defended because he acknowledged it and had some sort of control, at least in his head, had some sort of control over it. But he looked completely out of control. He's on his knees, his hands on his head.
Yeah.
The cop is like pointing a gun at him. She's like, yo, clearly you don't have the situation under control. My job is to talk.
Yeah.
Let me talk to him.
What do you guys think?
I mean, I kind of feel like she wouldn't have been quiet either way, because I feel like either way he would have done something. Like if he had gone with him into the car, he would have arrested him, probably shot him somewhere else. Like it would have been some sort of agitated situation no matter what.
There was bloodlust. Definitely bloodlust with that cop.
I mean, what was frustrating me was when she got out the car and she's speaking to the cop. Like, her perspective from the way that she was speaking was, like I said before, in a perfect world. Like, everything that she said should have been valid. She said, she's like, I'm a lawyer. I have the right to record this situation. I'm reaching for my phone as she's going to get her phone. Like, she did everything that she was supposed to do. And in a perfect world, that would have worked. But common sense tells us that's not where we live. That's not who we are, and that is not what's happening. And her doing all of those things could only exacerbate the situation. Because now, as cops like to say that the reason they act this way is out of fear, because I thought they had a gun.
I mean, she definitely had her hand in her pocket too. Like the angle that they were giving us, where like her hand is like in her coat pocket, and she's like threatening to pull out her phone, but she hasn't pulled anything out yet.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm allowed to record
so
you.
Easy to get your phone
I'm allowed to record
Or
you.
even taking the phone out
She's
before you
just
get out the car.
like
she was like, I'm
shaking
reaching
her
for.
hand.
She said, I'm reaching twice. Like and that's when you shot. I'm not saying it's her fault, but
yo,
it kind of feels
get
like
out
she
the car, get your
exacerbated
phone
this
in your
situation
hand.
so
You should have been
much.
recorded from the beginning, number one. But like, and that's just common knowledge in the modern world. If a cop is abusing somebody, your phone is already out. You shouldn't have to wiggle and do all this stuff.
Don't wait till he pulls a gun out to be like,
it
now
felt
I'm
like a
gonna pull my
power
phone
play.
out.
Yeah.
It felt like she was trying. That's what I mean. That's what I.
She wanted to dominate
these
the
guys
situation.
were like, I didn't like her. It felt like she was from jump. You know, why are you pulling us over? Like, he's sitting there. She's trying to, yes, she had a bad day. Yes, she's a lawyer. But it seemed like she was trying to make this cop mad when they were just seated. So then when she gets out, it's not just, it's, I'm reaching for, I feel like she didn't have to say that. Whereas he was like, please, can we hurry up? She's like, fuck you, I can say what I want, but when I've got a gun on me, you need to not be doing
like
that.
She was the one who wanted the situation, like to fix the situation, to have been the one to get the cop to stop, sort of thing.
Yeah, but
she needed a win.
Yeah.
She needed a win.
But isn't
But like
that
common
escalation?
sense tells you this man is holding a gun, and I'm not.
There's no one thing I always say is there's no rationale and emotion, and she was definitely emotional that day.
That's true. That's true.
And like, there's a stranger that you're trying to protect, and you're doing it the wrong way.
Yeah.
But it's still a stranger you're trying to protect.
So is there any way to, I don't know, not that we can actually control these situations because they're so crazy.
Right.
But the way I was talking about my white ex being like, don't do what you just saw in this movie. Is it fair for black men to be like, hey, let me handle this? Or is it fair to just let it go wherever it goes? Because I feel like if this situation hadn't ended the way that it ended and they were on their way, he would have turned to her and been like, why didn't you stop talking? Like, I feel like that would have been he would have been mad at her, like, you did something wrong, and she would have been like, I was trying to protect you, I can say whatever I want to say because at the very least we're equal. But he wouldn't think that, like, how do we navigate that? Because I don't want to be the man that's telling a black woman not to talk. But it feels like when I'm in it, I'm feeling like I'm in
who you are.
danger.
I'm gonna tell you not to talk if it's my life in danger.
I just think it has to be.
Is that fair?
I think it has to be a conversation that both people agree to, whatever it is, and whoever's in the driver's seat. Because I've been in that situation with my dad where he got pulled over because he has a nice car and we're in the Bronx and it's not so nice, and then his tints are like 0.5 above the legal limit because he doesn't want people looking at his fucking car.
Right.
And then all of a sudden they pull him over and there's two cops on each side pointing a gun in our car, and my two little brothers are in the seat, I'm in the seat, like nobody's saying anything. It's a real like calm situation, and my dad's talked us through this before, we've had this conversation, and it's still kind of like could have gone sideways at any moment. So it just has to be that evolving conversation that everybody's willing to have.
I've definitely been in a situation where I've been her. Like, whether it be my friends, even once my dad, literally in cuffs over something that we didn't do anything. It's just my dad is my height, but like 250 and all muscle, and it was me, it was him, myself, and two of my other friends, and me and my bro Steph. We are of the lighter skin, and my dad and my other friend about your complexion. So
what you trying to say?
I'm saying the cops put them in cuffs, but not me and Steph. They're having a conversation with
okay.
me and Steph on the back of the car. My father and my friend Aaron are literally in cuffs.
Okay.
And I lost my dad to the police system, to the prison system when I was like young, and he was only for like a couple years, but it's enough trauma to make you get ready to attack every cop in the vicinity. It was like 20 cop cars, like literally we're surrounded by 20 cop cars for nothing. Nobody got arrested, anything. We got a ticket. Yeah. But him being so big and so black intimidated the hell out of him, and I didn't respect that at all. No. I was cursing him out. I was ready to fight. My Steph is holding me, and like I just wanted my dad out the cuffs. They let him out the cuffs, but at the same time, like I've been in that situation. I could have got my dad killed because God forbid they did something to me. My father would have, as a father, done whatever any father would have done. Like I get it. I've been on both sides of the spectrum, so it is a discussion that you need to have.
Yeah. You also need to know. You also need to know like who you're with, because there are definitely people out here that prefer to take control of a situation, or they think they can talk themselves out of a situation.
Too much confidence.
And that's what kind of bothers me about like when you get into an emergency situation like that, because I've dated somebody who thought they could talk themselves out of or into anything. Like they thought they were so charismatic, like it's cool, let me talk to him, and it's like
I'll be the one.
And it's like you have to, when you're like, you have to know like if you're with somebody like that, with your friends or in a relationship, whatever it is, you have to like sit them down and be like, there are some situations where I need you to shut up. Like, just please. Stop because they're just and I think in the movie she kind of gave me that vibe where she felt like I know who I am. I'm smart. I'm this. I'm that. I can talk this situation down and take control of it. And it's very frustrating to be with a person like that because they don't hear you when you're like, this is not the situation for you to do that. I need you to just sit down and like relax and let me handle this situation right now. And they're like, nah, because they know who they are and they know it, and they believe that they can manipulate something to a certain extent, and that's not always the case. And if you have somebody in your life like that, or if you are somebody like that, either like you need to talk to the people around you and have an understanding of that and just change your perspective so you can understand when you're needed and when you're not.
Yeah. I guess the thing that, like I said, talking to my mother about it, it's interesting to get her perspective on things because she's a black woman, but she's a black woman from an older generation who often will get into fights with my sister over decorum and that kind of thing. Because if it was the situation that you had, with your family, my mom would be sitting there quietly telling us to sit there quietly and let my dad handle it, because they're already on that wavelength, because that's the generation they're in, where he's the head and she's not important but is looking to him for stuff. Right. It's not, I don't know, some would say that's, I feel that has a faster way of working, like a utility to it,
I get
because we already know who's taken over whatever, but we're in a modern world and we're trying to not think about people that way, because that's the reason why we got all these issues. I mean, so I kind of get it though when it's like, no, I'm not saying I understand Hotep niggas, but I'm just saying if a Hotep nigga watched this, it'd be like, see, this is why black women need to sit down and shut up, because that's the thought, is that she needs to just listen to him. But like y'all said, if it was reverse and the gun was on her, I don't think he would have been sitting there quietly. And y'all were all men, and that was your dad, but you're not gonna sit quietly. Right. Like, I don't know if your sister or whomever was there, would she have been jumping in? I don't know.
That's the thing I was about to say. It's different if it's like a family versus a date. Like, because the family has that thing. Because in my family, the women are the most protected. Okay. Like, my dad and my mom are not together. But if something happened to my mother, my dad would fly through 6 windows for her. Because that's the mother for children. And same with my little sister. Either of them, I have 2 little sisters. If either of them were around me and my dad, and there was a situation like that, our priority is protecting her. Okay. Me and my dad already have a rapport where his thing is, I can't let you go. He can't let me die because He's raised me to take care of everybody in case something happens to him.
Okay.
That's my job. That's my role in family. Families have roles. His job is to make sure he does as much as he can for everybody else before, he goes, whether it's timely or untimely. Whether he's 80 years old, in a lounge chair and he just had too much chicken and he just, stroked out, or if it's we're in a car and, we're trying to get somewhere.
Yeah. I
have a job interview and a cop cursed him out or something, a scuffle, whatever happens. But we have a priority now. It's my little sister. So she has to, so we would be the most compliant and dainty. You would think that we're 5'6", 120 pounds because my little sister's in the car.
Yeah.
And that's just how we have to protect her in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no, obviously, there's no way to solve it.
There's no way to solve it. Just kind of let it
two strangers,
flow.
Yeah.
But these two strangers, that was definitely just like wrong place, wrong time.
She's not going to submit to this black man.
And it's like,
who can't even send some eggs back because
right.
He
and she already doesn't respect him. That's the thing.
That's true.
Like,
because she doesn't know him. There was a lot of things they hadn't had the chance to have the conversation about yet.
But one
so it's
thing
like they don't know how they work, how they think.
That's
because
true.
She didn't take the time. When she finally understood how he thought about things, she was able to respect him, and he didn't necessarily change to have that happen. It's just they finally decided to let
he
each
just
other
wasn't
in.
angry. He got pulled over.
Yeah.
She was
They just
angry.
let
They
it-
got pulled over.
Yeah.
It was like different tipping points for them. She's like, we're two black people in the car. I'm a lawyer. I know how this goes.
Yeah.
Fuck this guy. He's like, I'm a black man. I'm in a car. I know how this goes.
But I feel
Let
like
me just handle it.
If they had just been dating for like a month and then that had happened,
they
she'd
would
still
have
be
been
a
in a
lawyer
different place.
and she'd still have that aggression, but she'd be like, okay, maybe we've talked about this, maybe I've just seen him in other kind of situations. I know he's gonna handle this. I'll just be pissed when we drive off and I'll be like, fuck that guy and why'd he do that? Like, I feel like that could have been a different situation if they had known each other longer.
Yeah.
I think some people can have a little bit of an unrealistic view on situations. Like, I actually just remembered a situation I had with my mother a couple weeks ago. We were both in the house. She's upstairs, and
I remember this story.
there's she looks out her window, and there's a guy getting jumped for his bike across the street. And what does my mother do?
Street?
That's right there, outside the house. What does my mother do? She opens the window and yells, "Get off of him!" And this guy that's jumping him grabs the bike and takes off down the street. Dude is gone. People out on the street are trying to help this man. He looks injured. Somebody calls the police. The police are coming. And then my mom decides to go out the front door to go stare at the situation. And I've never been angrier with her than I was in that moment. Because my perspective is, first of all, you yelling out the window does not help this man in any way. He knows people live in these houses. He knows somebody's probably seen him, and I'm sure he's taken steps to make sure no one can see his face. So you yelling out the window only brings attention to yourself. Now you're involved and you didn't need to be.
You don't even
and now they know where you live because you're home. So they know you're home, they've seen your face, and you're the one yelling across the street, get off of him. So now you're involved. And then what do? You go downstairs and stand outside. Your presence isn't helping the situation in any way. And I had to explain that to her, and she was a little taken aback because I'm still her child. So she's like, "Are you scolding me?" And I'm like, "Yes," because we talk about my safety all the time. She's, every time I leave the house, every time I go anywhere, she's worried about my safety. And I've told her time and time again that if I see a situation go left, I'm going right. That is my immediate response. I don't care what's going on, who's involved, what the situation is. If it even feels shady, if I get the slightest vibe that something is not okay, I'm going home. I'm not staying. I'm not nosy enough to stay.
That crazy lady.
Yeah, you made me so mad with that situation. I'm like, she's clearly
you talked to one
nuts.
of the crazy people?
Nah, listen to a past episode. There
You
was
got
just a
mad at
crazy
the
person
crazy
attacking
person.
people, and then they kind of turned to me, and I was like listening to music, and I wasn't even paying attention, and I was like playing piano with what I was listening to, and this lady came up and like slapped me on the wrist, and I looked up at her, and then she's like doing this with her fingers, and I was like, what do I do? Like, I'm not gonna, it was literally a slap on the wrist, but you hit me, and I just kind of let it go, but then she was like yelling at me the rest of the train ride, and Shai was like, You gotta run away.
No,
like
I didn't say run. I said leave. When you pull into the next station, get into the next car.
Yeah.
Like
I was just like, if she actually came at me, I could have taken her. I wasn't afraid. I felt fine. That was it. That
she's
was fine.
not
I'm
a
gonna give
stranger.
you three
Know
rules.
what you
I'm
don't
gonna
know
give you
what's
3 rules to
Okay.
You're not from New York,
We're
so I'm gonna give you 3
digressing.
rules.
Like every New Yorker.
I'm gonna give you 3 rules to
I
survive in
lived
New
in
York City.
3 major U.S. cities.
That doesn't
They were
matter.
not New York. They were not New York.
There was a naked man doing backflips, assaulting people on the BART in San Francisco. We've done this
That's pretty
before.
There was a naked man on his ass hitting people with a baseball bat. I'm telling you.
People do crazy
You
But
get up and you walk
let me give you 3
away.
rules.
Although we are
Don't
digressing.
mess with
This is
the
important.
crazy people. You don't fight them. You don't argue with them. You don't touch them. They have
just
nothing to
sat
lose.
there.
They have nothing to lose.
I know.
The crazies, homeless.
Drunks.
No. Drunks are fine. You can trip them. They
I'm a girl. Drunks are not fine.
They're just all over the place. They fall. It's like you see a bear, you run downhill. Like just
the bear.
run downhill. They're like, oh. Crazy people, not drug addicts. Yeah, maybe drug addicts. Crazy people, homeless, drug addicts.
I wasn't
don't
looking
do
to
it.
pick a fight. I was just sitting there. All I was
Your
saying
thought
was that if
process was
she
wrong.
had come at me, I knew which way I was gonna go in order to get this person to leave me alone.
From
That's
here,
all I was
you
saying.
leave. I promise.
Yeah.
Like you don't wait to see if she tries to come at you.
here's the story,
Leave.
just to make it clear, like what we're all coming from. Somebody in my family, I forget who, but somebody said that, they were working in a place with people that were mentally ill. They weren't all there. So apparently they walked into this bathroom one time and they find this woman kicking at the base of a toilet. Now we've all felt how hard a toilet is, and it's bolted into the ground. This woman's kicking so hard, the toilet is coming out of the ground.
Okay.
Why? And her foot is clearly broken. It's very
talking bath
broken.
salts?
The toilet's coming out the ground, and she's still kicking because that is how out of her mind that she is. She does not feel her foot. She is not aware of the situation. That is how nuts she is. So you may look at this woman and go, I could take her. She may not feel anything.
That's true.
If a woman can kick a toilet bolted out the ground and keep kicking until somebody grabs her,
True.
you don't know what these people are capable of. So you get up and you go to the next car.
Is anybody looking at these marshmallows? Because I'm eating all of them.
I don't like marshmallows.
And my dad works for MTA, and he's always like, you don't know what their mind is like. You don't know what weapons they've made and they've hid, and they're ready to pull out at any given moment.
Yeah.
Like I saw one dude
You
in the
never
corner,
know.
like sharpening pencils, but like
Yeah.
with his fingers, and then he's just like ready to like shiv anyone.
And you're
it
not
was
crazy, so you don't think like
You
it's
guys
so you
are
don't
right.
know.
I don't know. I've never been the type that worries about that stuff. I know my own limits usually. I'm not crazy, but just, I don't know, like as much as I'm very outward on this podcast, you know, I was in a car accident maybe 6 years ago, and this guy jumped out the car and ran up to my car and was like, what the fuck, blah, blah, blah. And I was just calm, and I was just like, dude, I was signaling for like 5 years. And he like immediately calmed down, and I was like, where'd that guy come? Because I'm thinking I just
You
assessed
assessed it
it.
properly,
Yeah, I
yeah.
was just okay. Like, so that's what I mean. When it came to her, I was surprised. And I wasn't happy. Like, I was upset that she, you know, and I didn't know why she was yelling at me and that kind of thing. I just didn't feel danger. And so that was it. You know, when I get into danger, I'm not stupid. But in that particular situation, I didn't feel like I was in danger. And I didn't end up being, she yelled at me a little, told me to go home a bunch of times, and then got
Even
off the
she
train.
told you to go.
She was like, go home. And I was like, I'm like 2 stops away. Like, I'm almost home. Like, leave me alone.
Nah, man, get
and
off
then
the
all the
walk. That's
people
what
are
she
looking
wants.
at me because she was black. So all the people are looking at me
Like
like
we
we're
know her.
together. And I'm like, I don't know this chick. Like, leave me alone. Anyway, we are so off topic, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Really quick, the ending. What'd you guys think? People
You mean
didn't
the
like
part where I
it.
cried?
People wanted it to be happy. I feel it served the plot. I feel that it was not a love story. Typically, I don't think that that's what the point was. I felt that it was felt it was a character study, and I felt it was about them becoming a legacy, and that was it. That was the point. I don't feel that it was supposed to be a romance thing involving Bonnie and Clyde. I don't think that was the point, but people were like, this was a romance, and it ended sad, and so I'm mad.
Well, we can't help but crave a happy ending, I think, when we watch movies.
True.
But personally, I prefer the sad endings, especially for a film like this. I felt like there was a point to this film. This film was trying to drive a message home and had everything ended, comme ci, comme ça, everybody's happy, living their best life. The message wouldn't have been delivered. It would have just been another fun, entertaining time. Everybody went to the movies, had a great time, went home, you learned nothing. So if it had ended happily, everybody got what they wanted, justice was served, that's not real. And
I
that's
was
not
wondering what Cuba was gonna look like. Like when they got there, were they just gonna be alright?
The whole time I'm thinking they're gonna get to Cuba, fall in love, make some babies, live on the beach.
It would have been like
My
Fast and Furious
biggest
style. They did
question-
all the crime, now they're on the island. Like,
Biggest
that's
question
it.
was who out of the two of them knows Spanish? Because nobody spoke any Spanish the whole movie. Like, she was surprised. Like, yo, we fine in Cuba.
Figure it out. They were like, just get to
Cops
Cuba.
can't
That's the
reach you.
plan.
That's the only thing.
Once we're in Cuba, we'll figure it out from there. And especially when I saw them walking up on the plane, I was like, this is it. They did it.
No, I knew it was bad when
I
he
was
drove
pretty-
off. I was like, why didn't he wait until they were on the plane?
I was pretty
Something's gonna
sure
happen.
from jump.
Yeah.
I was like, they're not getting out of here.
He was going to get that money exchange. That's what that was.
He was like, I know they're coming. I need to get
Yeah,
out
he
of
knew
here.
they were right behind him.
Yeah.
But I'm glad they did it that way. I felt like it was really good to drive the message home and to show that they were like carried on through art and through people wearing their faces and things like that.
To add to the question, a lot of people were criticizing it because after all of that, I don't think it's fair to just juxtapose, but I'll pose it. They were helped out by some white people, and there were some cops that were nice to them. There were two cops. One cop that was nice and understanding, the other cop that just let them go. White man at a convenience store doesn't shoot him, even though he should have, but at the end, a black person is the one that sells them out. People were like, this is the message, vilifying black people.
That's the other thing that she was upset about.
But she didn't get to the end,
But she definitely got to the part where they got out in the store,
Oh,
pointed the gun at him.
Okay.
My thing about that is they got helped out from both sides.
Yeah.
Not saying the sides there are.
And black people don't have planes, y'all. So
Yeah.
there had to be some
There
white
had to be a
people.
white dude.
Just like watching Harriet, people were like, there was a white person that helped
like,
her out. I'm like, this was
it's
slavery.
She couldn't have done what she
Somebody
did
has to
without a
help.
white person
Black
helping
people
her
didn't
out.
have homes, so somebody's got to hide you in their house during slavery. It's a white
thing
person.
for me was like, there's definitely a white dude in the plane. The
Yeah.
turbines are going.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all were looking, but I was looking at him as a guy who snitched for like the first 5 seconds. Like he
got
rested
it
his
right
hands.
away, yeah.
You can see he rested his hands on top of the thing. He goes like this, like, and then he turns the engine off.
Yeah.
He's like, damn, and like, 'cause now he's going down as an accomplice, clearly. So
He probably called him and he was like, just put it on the tarmac. You don't have to
Yeah.
Like, it won't go anywhere.
yeah,
There's probably no
so
gas in the plane.
I don't know if he was a part of it
Like, I was
or
just
if he
a
was
taxi
just really.
driver.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just get paid to take people places.
I know who
Like,
they
He's
were.
like, I just have to go.
I'm
But
white.
it wasn't
Oh,
just
you
that
can
they
go.
got helped by white people. Like you got helped by a black man's close
Yeah.
friend from the military. Like that's where it started.
Yeah.
Like you
Whose
got
wife
helped out
clearly
by.
didn't want them there.
And we're in modern times where everybody knows the police are killing people, and kinda you either really care or you don't care.
Yeah.
White dude inside the place didn't care. To be perfectly honest, if I found out a cop got killed, I not saying I don't care because I know people in law enforcement, but at the same time I'm like, well, that's one compared to our millions, you know. So
Yeah.
fuck them.
I don't
That's
think
why
I'd
everybody,
help, but
black
I wouldn't
person was
care.
like,
Yeah.
you know, yeah, we got you, you're safe here, blah blah blah. But then there's also the white people who understand what we're going through. They might not live it, but they
Yeah.
can sympathize
And
with
they
it.
wanted to
And
help.
this guy's like, you know, you're my friend's niece, my friend. This guy saved my life in plenty of occasions in war. I'm gonna shelter you the best way I can.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're just being helped out by white people. These are people who have a relationship to people that they know. So it's like staying at your friend's aunt's house because you know you're about to go to college and you need somewhere to sleep on a road trip there.
But you don't think that the way that it was put together harmed the ending. Kind of same thing about the sex scene being juxtaposed with the protest and this kid shooting the cop, and then they're together after, you know, post-coitus, like, you know, in each other's
they
arms.
were trying
like,
to force this image because they gave us happiness and despair at the same time. That's what I feel. They're trying to force this image on us so that we're not so lost in the romance and we still remember what's actually going on.
Okay.
So
I
like,
didn't think of that.
yes, they're finally having sex. This is like, because technically this whole road trip that they're on is a date.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, our date is running from the police. But like, you're like, they're all wrapped up in each other and they're having passionate sex in the car. It's a brand new car. Things are looking up. But at the same time, that kid that they just had this last impression on is at this protest supporting them, but they didn't know he was going to do that. They didn't know he's out here like ready to die for their cause. Yeah. They didn't know that. Because he kept saying, I want to be immortalized. I want to be immortal too.
In 2014, I felt that same exact way because I was live streaming the Darren Wilson not trial when they were going to decide if they were going to take him to trial, and I was video chatting with my sister and my mom at the same time, and they were like, we're not going to indict, and I'm sitting there, freshman in college, just pissed, you know, and I wanted to just go outside and just start throwing shit around, you know, like I was that. If my sister hadn't talked me down, I would have just went out on Market Street and just started finding shit because people were protesting there in SF. So I was like,
I don't go to those types of protests, and I hate as a black man that I don't go to black protests. It's because we are always gonna be attacked.
Yeah, I've been
like I've been attacked by police before. I've damn near fought a cop before because of the self-defense, protecting myself. But I know if you're willing to do that to me while I'm sitting with my friends, you're willing to do that to me while I'm around strangers. Yeah, that's true. Doesn't matter who's there. If there's a big crowd, you have even more excuses to do it. Yeah. So I cannot be there because I know me, and I'm a defender. Like if I seen a cop like mush a woman, I can't tell you what I might do because what, dude? Yeah. You know, like I can't because that's just who I am as a person. I can't be around that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, when I lived in LA, I remember I wanted to go to some protests that they were having out there. And I was like, Ma, I'm going to this protest. It's going to be going on from this time, this place, whatever. And she was like, no, just straight up, no.
Yeah, and I was like, the same way.
I was like, Ma, we can't just sit in here and not go out and do something. Like, we have to be a part of the voice. We have to do something. And she was like, no one's going to call me and tell me that you got shot.
My parents were the exact same way.
Like, because that's not going to be our story.
They were like friends we knew. I mean, not even just like marches and like parades and stuff that would just be out there having fun, and all of a sudden, like you hear that they got shot or like their girl's leg got broken because things got too crazy. So even when there were protests, because I lived in Harlem for like a lot of that, like a lot of like the initial stuff that was happening, my mom's always like, you cannot go outside, like find a different way to protest. There are tons of other ways.
Another way
to help.
There were people laying in the street out here, and I was like, damn, like I can't be a part of that. Yeah. And like no matter, I can support through social media. Yeah. That's about the most I'll do. But like, I'm a noticeable guy. Like, I got locks. Like that's enough reason just to pull me over right there. Yeah. I'm not. I
was
can't.
only in Vegas for the summer then, so I was going back to college, so I was at the protest.
See, but you're like, I'm gonna go.
I was trying to lead some people. Like I spoke in front of some people, and then like it was like all these cops were surrounding everybody, and it was like people were saying it was like we need to march somewhere. Like instead of just being here in the hood, we were in West Las Vegas. It was like let's go to the Strip, which is feasible. It's a long walk, but we could have gotten there, you know, get on Las Vegas Boulevard. We could have made it. And I was like, let's go. And people were like, no. It was so, I was like, come on. Like, y'all talking some shit. Y'all niggas need to get your asses on the Strip. When somebody else
is telling you to do something, that's typically the time when you think. Mm-hmm. Especially when it's a large crowd.
I was so mad.
I can only imagine how many people didn't follow Dr. King at that initial meeting spot, but they didn't march with him. Yeah. You feel me? Because they're like,
my family. Like,
dudes out here getting shot.
Yeah. Think about it.
I was like, let's walk. Like, we would have walked down Las Vegas Boulevard. But real quick, because we're
ended in a walk.
Whatever. But we're out of time. But the ending. What did you think? All things considered.
I mean, I think it was kind of that uncomfortableness I talked about in the beginning. Like, they got to the final destination. There really is no more after this plane, and they didn't even get that. So you're sat at home thinking about, like, damn, like, they should have at least gotten on the plane, and it got shot. Like, they couldn't even, like, get to the plane. I mean, that would have been worse, but, like, at least they got first. Like, that would have been cool. But I don't know, I just feel like if they had gone somewhere, then I would have found the ending to be invalid. Like, there was no way it could have had a happy ending because it's not a survivalist story.
And it wouldn't have been realistic.
Yeah, it wasn't about them making it any
the rest
further.
Of us can't fly to Cuba.
Yeah, I was thinking about Chris Dorner. I don't know if you guys remember him, but he, it was like maybe 2010, maybe 2012, I don't remember. But I think he was ex-LAPD, and he had a list of people in the LAPD that had done something. We never found out what it was, but they were putting this up like he's out hunting people. Like he was just some bad person, you know, and they were asking people like, are you afraid? All these white people were like, oh, I'm afraid. My mom's like, he had a list. They were all LAPD. You're not on the list. You're not in danger. But he was a big black man. He was bald. And the guy that played the father in That's So Raven was tweeting about it because people were sharing his picture because he was a big, heavyset, bald black guy. And my dad looks like that. And that was a big deal. But they like found him and cornered him in the cabin in the woods somewhere and threw fire grenades in there and just burnt this man alive. So I'm like, yeah, anytime these manhunts go down, they were there to kill them. They weren't there to arrest them. They were going to die.
You got two people who just want to escape.
Yeah,
There's no
they were
one
going to
that
die.
is
Somebody who's trying to escape is definitely willing to, be violent about it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's overwhelming force in numbers.
Yeah.
Like, there was no... It's 6 days. On the first 2 days, clearly they had a weapon. The next 4 days, there was never any real record of it. Like, why would they pay to get their car fixed if they had a gun?
Yeah.
You get me? They were trying to get out of the story, but nobody's viewing it that way.
No.
They wanted these people dead.
Yeah. They weren't.
Because they killed the cop. If in any case, if anybody kills a cop, the whole police force wants you dead. Doesn't matter if that cop, beat up your little sister and kick your mom down a flight of stairs. You gotta go.
Yeah.
It's like that movie 21 Bridges where like all those cops died and then like
I still haven't seen it.
I was gonna say I didn't see it.
Okay, well, you guys all know that cops died in the movie, right?
I didn't like the premise. I haven't seen it, but I didn't like it because I'm like, it's kind of the opposite, Some cops die, so we're gonna fuck up the economy of New York City for months to come because we locked down the island of Manhattan overnight. That fucks up economies all over, everywhere. We're gonna do that because some cops got killed. That's how important police are.
So, like I said, and this isn't like a major spoiler, it's literally the first 5 minutes of the film. It wasn't just because cops died. These men literally had like 300 kilos of pure cocaine. Like, not stepped on, pure cocaine. And they were out somewhere in the island of Manhattan. And they went on a murdering spree at this liquor store. So, these guys need to be caught pretty quickly. They were like, this is pure. Like, this isn't even, it hasn't been spread out, nothing. It's pure.
But are really sorry. Are there any final thoughts?
I feel like people should stop hating the movie because they made it seem real. Honestly, there is that dude down the block from you or wherever who will turn you in for that. I cannot sit here and say, I would not turn another black person. But a person of any other race who did something bad and I can come up off of it and take care of my people,
probably would.
More than likely, don't let me know you, sir. Don't trust me.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about that.
I'm like,
I would help somebody if it.
My thing is, I'm gonna help you. Yeah. Like, if you're black, I'm gonna help you. Period.
Yeah.
And that's just me, because I'm super pro-black, and I believe in protecting my people and continuing our legacy. I don't really care about anybody else. That's just who I am. Not saying I don't care, because everybody has their, the struggle they play, and I'm a human. As a human, I care, but I will not. Generally speaking about race, nobody cares about us. Michael Jackson said it. They don't really care about us. So my thing is, like, you shouldn't trust anybody. Yeah. So that you're literally trusting everybody you meet with your life. And like you said, he's the only dude they didn't question. He's also the only dude to greet them with a gun.
I mean, they gave him a little bit of
He greeted them with a shotgun.
It just didn't feel like
I'm supposed to follow you, you have a gun in my face, and then he gets out the car.
Forget that. He was never even on the phone with anybody to drive. Ever notice that? That's why the dude kept leaning in. He's like, I don't hear him talk. Like, he's like, you see his face. He doesn't hear anybody talking on the phone.
I mean, he did call the guy.
He's like, call him again. Dude clicks a button and just goes like this.
Yeah, that was a little weird. Normally, they at least put in some beeps in post,
There was a plane there.
Audio.
There was a plane there.
How would you suddenly do it in an hour?
It
just felt like, why did you?
How do you go from it needs to be tomorrow morning to be here in an hour?
And it's an hour drive.
How did you all of a sudden?
He called the police back, if anything.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
It was terrible. He tried to get them to lower their guard, get them to smoke some weed. Don't trust everybody. That's all I can say about it. Like,
don't smoke every blunt.
Is that your final thought?
That's my final thought.
I was so
premise of the movie.
But don't hate.
Smoke every blunt.
Don't hate the movie because a black dude turned him in. Because in reality, we know each other the best.
Yeah.
It's easier for us to catch another black person in something because we know, like, in at least me growing up in Harlem, I know the next black man's survival instinct when it comes to the police. Because we were all taught the same thing. So, like, really, who else better to turn you in than your brother? Granted, it could have happened with anybody. I thought the dude's wife was gonna turn him in.
Yeah, I was thinking she was gonna squeal.
Which also was pretty cool because she very adamantly did not believe what they were doing, but still because he had a
she stuck by her man.
Stuck by him and was like, fine, I'll talk to
She's like, you're doing this, then I'm doing this.
Yeah,
I had to respect that.
There was a lot of real love in that movie. I will give you that. That was some real love.
For sure. Anybody else?
Definitely wouldn't get involved whatsoever. If that was me, I feel like that's the New Yorker in me. I'm like, there's no need to be in this at all. However, like the military guy, like if it was someone that was my longtime friend and needed that help, I would give it to them and be like, yeah, hi to my phone.
Okay.
I don't know who they are. That's it. Like that would be me, and then I wouldn't want to be seen again in the street.
Yeah.
It's like
I don't want to. I don't be part of that legacy.
People in my life are always worried about my safety, but one thing I do know how to do is mind my business.
Mind my business and run. That's
you
it.
never have to worry about me putting myself in a situation.
I'll be at home sitting.
My one thing is if you buy a house, I know, if you buy a house, hollow some part of that hideout to hide. Either you or your gun. Hide.
Yeah, that's true.
Find, make just pick a spot and hollow that out.
That's the real takeaway.
It'll work.
Really
it'll work.
That's the real takeaway of the movie.
He was like,
hiding spots in every part of the
house. We're not gonna say where we're putting our hiding spots. Yeah. But they're really a hiding spot.
Mm-hmm. All right, but yeah, I think that pretty much sums up what we think of this movie. Thank you guys for listening and watching. Bantucinema. My name is Buck Rivers. You can find me at Mbaku Rivers on Instagram and on Twitter. You can find ImagineOnly Productions, our benefactor, at ImagineOnly Prod. Gifted Sounds Network at Gifted Sounds. And tweet at us at Bantucentric. Let us know what you think. Please share, like, do all of that. Where can you find Cheyenne Finch?
You can find me at Shy Productions, that's CHEY Productions, on Instagram and Twitter. And you can find my work on CheyenneFinch.com.
And yes, where can they find you, Tara?
At Gypsy_camera on Instagram and or Twitter. I don't use anything else. Just Instagram and or Twitter.
How about you?
I'm primarily on Instagram. I have two. You can find me at Dinner with Charlie, or at my food page, Dr. Sauce 119. My Twitter is Dinner with Charlie, I think. I don't really use Twitter that often.
If it doesn't work.
But if you look up Dinner with Charlie, you're gonna see this face. All one word, like a pimp ain't slick back. Dinner with Charlie.
Unless there's anything else to be said.
Nope.
Then as always, stay woke.
And stay Bantu.
All right, see ya.
Bye. What?
Bantucentric is brought to you by ImagineOnly Productions.
This has been a Gifted Sounds podcast. If you enjoyed the podcast, please subscribe, rate, and review. For more podcasts, please visit giftedsounds.com.